While the Los Angeles wildfires have seen some progress in containment, we're learning the risk is not over yet. Our Geneva Zoltek and Guy Tannenbaum are in studio with a look at how preparing for wildfire risks in our community is still top of mind.
So this is what happens with these wildfires. We see, even though there's a shock, and we're just looking at development in high-risk areas, not even accounting for rebuilding, we see there's sort of a change in the pace of construction, but it's so small, and we're building so many units in these high-risk areas that it's almost insignificant.
That was UNLV economist Nicholas Irwin, who studies the intersection of natural disasters on housing. He told me even though certain areas in the West are more prone to wildfire, called wildland-urban interfaces, developing continues at a high rate, even after a major wildfire.
Right, and according to the U.S. Fire Administration, these interfaces grow by 2 million acres per year. And here in Nevada, up to 60% of our housing is built in these vulnerable areas.
So one way to think about it is like witnessing a car accident. You might drive more cautiously for a day or so, but in the long run, you're probably going to go back to your normal driving habits. It's similar for developing urban wildland interfaces.
And because such a big chunk of our state's population lives in those zones, I checked in with the Mount Charleston Fire District to learn about the fire risk up in the Spring Mountains, but also down here in the valley, since the fires in Los Angeles have so many of us wondering if this could happen here. First of all, Mount Charleston Fire Chief Jason Douglas tells me the risk in the valley is very low because we have a different kind of fuel than in Los Angeles. Our landscape is more arid and spread out and doesn't burn as quickly or as hot. It's a different story up in our mountains, though. It's still dry, but it's a forest with several kinds of trees that burn easily, so the fire potential is always there on Mount Charleston. Chief Douglas says his department's main message to people up there is to make sure you have defensible space. That means clearing all the firewood or pine needles from at least 5 feet away from your home and trimming your tree limbs at least 10 feet off the ground if you can.
The fire activity actually calms down when we've done all those treatments, and what that does is make it so we can get in there as firefighters and actually have a chance to defend your house. Now, if we have brush and stuff all the way up to your house and we have flame lengths higher than our head, we can't do much in that situation. It gives us a place to defend your house if we have a fire coming through.
And even though fire risk is lower here in the valley, all that still applies here. He also says you can never be too prepared regardless of the emergency. Have a plan and put together a go bag of essential items so you can be ready to evacuate at a moment's notice. All of this is still something that's top of mind for people in Southern California. We'll send things back over to Geneva to break down why concerns there are especially high this week. Geneva.
Thanks, Guy. Now, right now we're seeing some onshore winds going on in Southern California. This is a look at Los Angeles. 13 miles per hour is that current wind gust, so it's really not too bad right now, but I can tell you that fire risk is going to increase as we get into Monday. Now, here's a closer look into Southern California. We're going to be very dry in this region, but it is also going to be very windy, so that's why we do have this extreme fire risk for this area just north of Los Angeles. So that's again tomorrow, contributing to the fire weather warnings that have been issued by the National Weather Service. We're expecting those northerly winds to blow upwards of 40 miles per hour, gusts even clocking up to 100 miles per hour possible tomorrow. And those advisories do go into effect for MLK Day and last through Tuesday. Now, looking ahead to those wind gusts, we're going to be breezy here in southern Nevada as well. You can see those strong northerly winds pushing in. And I'll talk more about that in my full forecast coming up a little bit later on in the show.